So today I'm going to be recreating Alexa Chung's Met Gala dress. She wore this dress to the 2018 Heavenly Bodies Met Gala. As you can see, it's very Victorian-esque. It's apparently inspired by Romeo and Juliet, which I think is really cool. The reason why I love this dress so much is because I love the statement sleeves. They are very dramatic and I just can't get enough of them. So I'm going to be making an everyday version of this dress because obviously it's too fancy to wear anywhere. So I'm going to be using this really gorgeous red fabric that I have, and I'm going to do the statement sleeves, try out the bodice, we'll see how that goes. So I'm really excited for this. As always, I started out with the easiest part of the dress, which is cutting out the skirt. So I cut out a half circle skirt, and I will link a tutorial for you in case you want to recreate this dress and use the half circle skirt method as well. After cutting out the skirt, I placed a basting stitch all along the bottom of the skirt. This provides some stability to the fabric and it'll help me hem my skirt later. Next comes the fun part, and that is draping the bodice. So for this bodice, there are two pieces, the bottom part that goes under the bust and the top part that goes over the bust. I started with the bottom part because it's completely flat and it's the easiest to drape. After doing that, I draped the top part of the bust and I added a little pleat so that it really fits the bust. Then I added a strap. I know it looks a little weird, but I'm going to smooth it all out later. I have finished cutting out my front pieces. I have a shell and a lining, so I cut double the amount of pieces that I need. I also put pins in each top front piece to mark where the pleats are gonna go. I draped and cut out my back pieces. Again, I have double the amount of pieces I need since I have a shell and a lining. In the back, I also included a scoop back just like the original dress, but the original dress has a much lower scoop back. I want mine to be a little more modest, so I'm making it a little higher. These two pins mark the center of the back, which is where the zipper is going to go. Since the scoop back and the armholes have a similar shape, I just want to make sure I know which is the center back and which are the armholes. My two front pieces are attached. I used what's called an inset corner to attach them. That's when you have an outside corner connected to an inside corner, an inside, hang on. Okay, this is where you have an outside corner, just like this bottom piece, attached to an inside corner, just like the top piece. So it's when you have something convex and you need to attach it to something concave, geometry. And it was a little difficult to do this because I've never done it before, but I did get it. The first one is a little bit ugly, so I'm gonna make that one the lining. And then the second one is pretty much perfect, so that's gonna be on the outside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my front and back pieces along the shoulder seam. So I'm going to do that for the shell and for the lining. I finished attaching the front and back pieces along the shoulder seams for both the shell and the lining. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the lining on top of the shell, right sides together, and just sew all along the neckline and the scoop back. Yay, the bodice is all done. After sewing around the neckline and the scoop back, I just flipped my bodice right sides out. And then I also understitched my lining just so that the lining stays in the back and doesn't roll over to the front. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is probably maybe cut out the sleeves. I think that's a good place to start. For the sleeves, I first traced the sleeve pattern of a regular t-shirt, just like the one I'm wearing in this video, and then I cut that sleeve pattern into strips. I then spread those strips out onto my fabric, and since I wanted most of the volume at the top of my sleeve, I made sure to spread out the strips a lot at the top and only a little at the bottom. Then, using my first sleeve, I cut out another sleeve. Look at these sleeves! I'm really excited to see how much volume I'm going to be getting out of these. So what I'm going to do first is sew up the sides of my bodice and then gather the tops of my sleeves and attach the sleeves to the armhole. After that, I'm going to attach the skirt, attach the zipper, and then come back to the sleeves and do all the cinching details on them. I got my bodice and my 2 sleeves ready to be attached to it. So for the sleeves, what I did is I placed a basting stitch all along the top of my sleeve. And what I'm going to do now is pull on these extra threads at the end of the basting stitch to gather the sleeve all up and make sure that it fits the armhole. One thing that I do want to point out is that I did place a pin at the very middle of the sleeve to mark it. It's really important that when I attach my sleeve to my bodice, the middle of the sleeve always matches up to the shoulder seam of my bodice. If it somehow moves around, the whole fit of the sleeve is going to get messed up and it's not going to fit properly. One thing that I actually forgot is that since I sewed up the sides of the bodice, the armhole is now a circle. So I also have to sew up the sides of the sleeves to make the sleeve a tube so that the circular tube can now fit in the circular armhole. So now that I have sewed up the sides of both of my sleeves, I can gather them and attach them to my bodice. Okay, here is the top so far. I just attached the sleeves and they have a lot of volume. I am really excited about it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach the skirt to the bodice and then put in the zipper, and then we're going to return back to these sleeves. So we are almost done. Almost. Oh my gosh, look at it. It is so gorgeous. I just attached the skirt to the bodice. So what I'm going to do now is put an invisible zipper in the back, and then I'm going to try it on to show you what it looks like. I'm using an invisible zipper in the back, and yes, it is black instead of red, but that's all I had, so you just gotta work with what you got. So since the back is very low, I don't really need my zipper to be that long, so the final length of my zipper was 10 inches, which opens well below my waist. After installing my invisible zipper, I sewed the rest of the skirt shut, from the bottom of the zipper all the way down to the hem. Then I was ready to finish hemming my skirt. To do this, I used the basting stitch that I put down earlier as a guide to fold my hem up once, then fold it up again, and sew it all down. You will need to iron out your hem afterwards because it does get all weirdly curly and bubbly, but that's just how it goes with circle skirts, okay? Okay. Here is the dress so far. Obviously, I put in the zipper and I finished hemming it. And the only problem I have with this is that the shoulders are a little bit loose and it's kind of falling off my shoulder, but what I'm going to do is probably elasticate it or something, or I might just take it in if I can. We'll deal with that later. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cinch the sleeves. We're going to put all the details on the sleeves. Hello. So it's been a few days since I stopped working on this dress and I just came back to it, and I realized that I actually really hate the bodice. So I'm going to redo it. I know, it's very risky, but I'm gonna do it anyway. It's fine. Instead of a triangle bodice, I'm going to be making a princess seam bodice. Just like my other 2 dress videos, those have princess seams just going down the chest. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here, but I'm going to still keep it tank top style just like I made the original dress. This bodice is just gonna have different seams, you know? I'm not gonna make you watch me take apart this entire dress because you already watched me fail at making it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let you know what the plan is, and then I'm going to take it apart away from the camera. I might pop in a few times for some tips or recommendations or just to let you know how it's going. But then I'm going to show you the finished product at the end. So we're going to spend as little time as possible on this. Alright, here's the plan. First, I'm going to take out the zipper. Then I'm going to take apart the skirt so that it's separate from the top. Then I'm going to take off both the sleeves, and then I'm going to take apart the front bodice pieces from the back bodice pieces. I'm hoping that I can keep the back bodice pieces because I do really like them and I don't want to waste more fabric on this, you know? Then I'm going to cut out new front bodice pieces, attach it to the back, attach the sleeves, attach the skirt, attach the zipper, and hopefully will be good. I have done quite a lot. In my hands here I have my bodice. So I sewed this the exact same way that I sewed the bodice the first time. I attached the shoulder seams first, then I attached the lining and the bodice right sides together, and then I understitched the lining. So, I don't know, here it is. I mean, this is what it looks like. I also finished the sleeves. Well, not just yet, but I did make 2 channels on my sleeves. Hopefully you can see them there. And these are going to be the channels where I'm going to put my elastic. So if you want to make this dress, I do really recommend doing everything on your sleeves before you attach them to your dress, because you have easy access through both ends of your sleeve. And so what I did to make these channels is I pinched the fabric on the sleeve and sewed it down to create a little flap, and then I folded that flap down and sewed it down again to create a channel. I did leave a little gap on each channel so that I can insert my elastic. So once I attach these sleeves to my bodice, I will be able to do the elastic part of it. For now, I'm just gonna leave it like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach my bodice to my skirt, attach the sleeves, and then attach the zipper. After attaching everything again, I will do all the finishing touches like sewing up the edges and putting the elastic in the sleeves, and then you will see the finished product.